Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Begin. I want you to talk about your day.
Oh man. I'm tired. This week was my week to officially be hit by everything, I think. So.
Tell them about the incident yesterday.
Oh man. Wow, you really were into that. I think this was my test to see what I could handle all week this week. And then yesterday, in the middle of one of the live Emerge lives, I took a step back and I stepped on a mouse and I killed it while we were on live Facebook, and I had to stop talking. No one on camera saw me, but I was trying not to throw up.
Yep. So yeah, that's what we
but
pulled up to.
we still kept going.
So how is everybody?
I didn't even kill a mouse.
There you go. Today we're just gonna chit chat and ramble and see where all this goes.
Okay. Hi Stephanie. Hi Sarah.
Good guys. Good morning. As we as fitness trainers, we get to understand and get to talk to a lot of people who are goal driven, who come in with aspirations. A lot of them are physical, but they want to change something about themselves, their appearance, their confidence. And it's not, one they come in to begin with is because they don't know what to do themselves. So is one thing that we do is we provide a direction for somebody having a goal and just not knowing how to obtain it. So, but not everybody that comes in and they purchase training actually end up meeting their goals that they were so inspired to begin with. And I guess we can start about talking about really, in our opinion, what have we seen that makes the difference from someone achieving a weight loss goal, achieving a strength, an endurance goal, and then someone who pays the money, who does show up, but doesn't get the results that they want. So I'll let you chit chat on that a little bit.
I think when it comes, when I see people that are actually very successful with goals, it's usually when they figure out what the actual goal is. And what I mean by that is so often, and like weight loss is the pretty stereotypical goal for people when they come to a personal trainer. Weight loss, toning, something just to alter your physical appearance somehow to make you more physically appealing, more confident in yourself because you just think there's something about your appearance that makes you not good enough. So it's usually, again, a weight loss goal or a measurement of some sort. And that's good. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you know what the why is. And I think when people just get so fixated on a number and they don't take in the bigger picture of what that number actually means or like why is that number even your goal in the first place, that's when they're unsuccessful.
All right.
But like if someone came in and they say, I want to lose 30 pounds. Why? Like what's 30? What does 30 mean? And you're going to get lots of different reasons. That's how much I weighed when I was 18 and in the greatest shape of my life. And it just, it reminds them of feeling very happy, lack of responsibility, because you're 18, not that you're not responsible at 18, but different kind. It's more of a reflection back of how you used to feel, like you're holding on to something, or for a lot of people, it's the weight loss. Why 30? Well, that's when my doctor says I can get off blood pressure medicine. Yes, okay, like that one's a very obvious one right there. So that's a standard way of talking, but I think what's good is if you stay consistent enough, and as us as trainers and we can talk to you, sometimes we can figure out what your why is before you do, because it's your life. It's a lot harder to think outside of what's going on in your head. But like the person who wants to lose 30 pounds because it reminds them of what they were like when they were super happy, I think it's part of our job to kind of point them into a direction of you can't be your 18-year-old self anymore. And maybe you can weigh the same, like that's definitely something, but why don't we work on moving forward and creating the next best version of you, of where your life is and where it's going, and just helping people's mental attitudes with that. So I think when people start realizing that their main goals is, oh oh my gosh, I have so much more energy. I get to play with my kids more. I sleep better at night. And they start actually seeing the life quality benefits of their health and fitness, and not necessarily lose the weight loss goal, because that can still be your goal. There's nothing wrong with it. But start actually looking at the bigger picture of what health and fitness is. That's when you see the success in people. That's when they carry themselves differently, because now their happiness is based on their quality of life, not a number on a scale.
Okay, that's awesome.
So that's a weird roundabout way of
so
saying
that
it.
was a phenomenal answer to probably the biggest thing that we do here as trainers is helping direct someone's own thoughts, and helping direct someone's own, I guess let's say their actual goals, like you said. It's easy to identify the side effects of what you're feeling, and it's hard to identify the root cause causing those side effects. So let's you can have let's look at it with the human body. People come in with knee pain, with shoulder pain, and I'm speaking for myself, ankle pain. I had a lot of these, and I was always chasing the area of the pain. So like elbow or here. I heard this guy talk about is if you step on a dog's tail, he barks out his mouth. So where the pain actually happens is not always where you're actually, or where it's impacting, where the pain actually is. What's the word I'm trying to say? Where the site of injury is, you feel the pain elsewhere. So let's bring that into like life. So when you don't have a positive self-image, or you don't have I guess an actual vision or a goal of what actually makes me happy, like you said, it's easy to hold on to a reflection of yourself in the past and say, back then, at this number, I was happy. Really, we're trying to identify your deep-rooted goals. And so when someone comes in, they think it's weight loss, or they think that it's a body fat, but it's always something much deeper. So I think one of the most valuable things that we do here is helping them, like turn them and say, this, in my opinion, is an actual goal that changes the quality of life. That if you start to work on self-image, or if you start to work on self-discipline, that the weight loss and the diet actually is like a result of a different goal change. So I guess let's sum this all up is see in life, you can look at this just self-image wise and nutritionally and physically, is what goals are you chasing? Are they superficial? Are they skin deep? Literally sometimes just with body fat. Or is there something deeper within that actually drives happiness? Is happiness your body fat, your number? Is happiness your haircut? Or if your beard's on point today? Or is it really the way that you feel that your family looks at you, or that you feel that you're impacting this earth? These deep things are really what drive overall consistent, long sustained happiness, because you can drop 20 pounds and you can look great, and then you can go to Mexico and 10 days later you can abolish or just destroy all the hard work, and next thing you know, your mind goes with it. So don't let your body determine the state of your mind. It's easy to ebb and flow almost daily, because the scale can do that too. And if you get on the scale in the morning and you're 2 pounds up than what you want to be, that can set your entire day off to self-sabotage and self-regret. So I think that's a cool point. So I read this too, and I liked it. Clients come in and they have a goal. They want to lose the amount of weight. They change the way that they look. It's not the desire to have the goal. It's not the desire to, I want. Everybody comes in and they want something, whether it's fitness or whether it's life, but it's the belief in themselves that they can actually accomplish it. So just elaborate on that. One's belief in self.
One's belief in self. I think a lot of time that when people come in and they have their goal and they're lacking the belief in themselves, which part of it is not necessarily that you don't have to think of lack and belief in oneself. It sounds really extreme when we say it. It sounds like something really terrible is happening, but that's not necessarily true. Sometimes it's actually just willing to ask for help.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily, you can be someone who is disciplined, who has a goal and is very positively driven for it. But I think a lot of people, it's again not necessarily lack in belief in self, or they equivalent that as being, if you can't do it, as I am a failure, I'm not good enough. So sometimes it's okay to ask people for help. You don't have to be the best at everything. You don't have to be the person who knows everything. Be willing to take critique, be willing to hear the hard things, and try different things. So I think a lot of that with a lot of people, when they get fixated on their goal, they feel like if they can't do it themselves, then they failed. Yeah. And then you get that person as a personal trainer who comes in, people are almost already self-sabotaging them because they almost feel like if they came to us, it means like, right, I failed. It's like you didn't fail. It's just like, this is our job. We're professionals.
Think about taxes, and then, or think about like engine work on your car.
Yeah.
Is like there are people that dedicate their life and their profession to answering questions and to help directing. So just because you can't fix your own car, it doesn't mean that you failed. And just because you can't find a way how to eat or how to think or how to move, it doesn't mean that you fail. That's what our passions have been for, figuring out the reasons why and just saying, hey, look, this is what you do. Go do it. And a lot of times people just don't know where to direct their efforts. They're like, I want to work, I'll run, I'll do the work. Tell me where to go. And that happens a lot as well. It's just some of these people, they are hard workers. We have plenty of clients like that. Yeah. If you give them the food, you give them the exercise, they'll run and they'll go with it. But yeah. And
I think people need to also know that like we learn from each other. So we're always constantly working with each other. Like most of the trainers here train with other trainers because someone will always have just a different way of wording something. Like Sefton and I could be talking about a pull-up, but we're going to talk about it in such a different way that it might click with somebody more versus the other. Or he's going to say something to me doing an exercise I've done 10 million times, and I'll think about it completely differently, and then I can then take that to maybe a client that I just for some reason can't quite get it into their heads, but I have now officially learned a different way of looking at it. We also like have our own goals, or like usually we're all injured. I think that's what it is, but we all ask each other for help, or we're always observing what other people are doing. So I think when people can get to the point where, and this goes to, again, the self-image part of it, where you can have 100% self-confidence in yourself, and part of that is knowing that you don't have all the answers. And that's okay. And I think a lot of people get really hard on themselves when they can't figure something out, especially when it's something that is a very direct reflection of the quality of their life, because that's the one thing that we feel like we should have control over. But you have to remember that you are very much yourself, but you can have a team of people around you to help push you in the right direction.
Right.
Yeah, they don't have to be in control of you, but they can encourage you and be on a horizontal level moving forward with you. So,
another reason to have a good set of team. I read, or I heard, this was Les Brown was saying, you tend to make $2,000 to $5,000 of around salary-wise of your best friends or your closest friends. And I wasn't using that for the money-wise, but I was using that to like mental potential and physical discipline and then self-image. So I challenge you to identify those who you hang a lot of time around with, and how do they think about themselves? Are they adding to the bowl of value of you, or are they taking it away from themselves? Because if you hang out with those who have a low self-image or low motivational drive, or odds are it's easier to, I guess, adapt to that energy, that light that's around them. So when you have people who are feeding you, who are saying you can, who are, or simply doing or active or exercising or are just their values of life are greater than themselves, I would suggest that if you want to be motivated and you want to have a group of friends who, when you get around and you leave feeling energized towards life, choose the friends, choose the people that add to your life in terms of positivity, because as you can look at the TV and find a whole week's worth of negativity in just about 5 minutes. So another one is when you don't know what's impacting you. We can elaborate on this all day long, but let's let's give this a superficial look, is let's say you have a bad day and you reflect. Hopefully that you reflect, but if you go back and you look, it's easy to say, oh, well, I didn't get enough sleep. Or maybe, I got to work late, and you can reflect back in your day and say, this is the reason why I had a bad day. And some don't even ever consider to look at, how did I wake up viewing my day before the day started? When I woke up and got out of bed, what were the first thoughts of my mind? Or that's one is, and then second one is, what type of food are you putting into your body? Because you consume physical food, but you also consume like a mental food of what you see and what you read. And what are you consuming? Those are, I think, some of the biggest our compass setting directions of, is your day going to be positive? Is it going to be negative? So a suggestion would be to your first steps out of the day, it's easy to let the weight of the world and the responsibility fall on your shoulders of what you are not doing right or what is to do. As opposed to that, I suggest your first steps out of bed is to push those negative thoughts away and say, hey, what is positive and what do I have going on currently? And then get some food and some good water down your neck. It's a best step forward in your day. So you don't look at the day, you don't reflect upon your day and say, hey, my day, it was a bad day. And it just was. We all have bad days. Go back, be the Sherlock Holmes of your life and think, what went wrong? Did I react appropriately? And then make the adjustments, because that's exactly what we're doing here fitness-wise. A new client comes in, you give them homework to do. They don't come in 100% perfect and 100% disciplined on day one. What we're looking for is continual progress little by little. And if you can change one meal of your day, if you can change one thought of your day, that is just the step into really living a more happy life, because I haven't lived a life happy enough to where I am always just in a cool beans kind of attitude. I ebb and then I flow. So give me your thoughts on, I guess, what is impacting people that they don't even realize that's impacting them.
I think that everything you said was completely accurate. But yeah, making the decision, the thing that hit me what you said is just when you haven't even gotten out of bed yet and you've already decided what kind of day that you're having. So is that you don't have to have the best day of your life every single day. Okay, so that's very important to know. So even just this morning, Sefton asked me where my Bob Ross cup was. I don't have it. I was just not quite on my game this morning, but I'm not having a bad day. It's just not as completely organized as it usually is, but that's okay. And I still, even though I allowed myself to sleep in a little bit longer than I usually do, I just knew that my body needed it. I still allowed myself to wake up and immediately have 20 minutes of meditative reflection, just to help put my mindset in the right place. Did I sacrifice some time of organization? Yes, I did, but that was worth it for my mental state, because I'm still here. I'm still in a perfectly good mood.
You're doing a phenomenal job.
Thanks. I just don't have a coffee mug. And I know, and that's okay. So, and that's what I think people need to remember is that, and we're all I'm not saying I'm like that every single morning, but it's just a very immediate actual reflection of my morning so far, is that you're not going to have the 100% most perfectly laid out day every single day, and you can't. You just can't. And if you wake up and something's out of order or something's out of line, or if you didn't give yourself quite enough time to do something and you get upset about it, and it's already just 6:30 in the morning, that's going to be a very long 14 hours of your day. So just kind of know that you can have control over what you have control over. The world's not going to end if you don't have everything perfect. And then you officially have control over how your day is going to be. We already discussed how I killed the mouse. I killed the mouse, but we laughed about it. It's too bad for the mouse.
It's okay. What was he doing out there to begin with is my question.
We laughed about it. There's nothing you can do. So, you have to remember things like that it is impossible to have the best day of your life every single day. And that is okay, because that makes those days that are what you think are the best day of your day, because hopefully you have another one of those. That's what makes them so special.
That's right.
Is because you know what it feels like for everything to not go perfectly. So on a perfect day, you can so genuinely enjoy it. So, but it doesn't mean the other ones have to ruin it for you. It just makes you more appreciative when everything does fall in line.
Nobody appreciates a sunny day, a sunny, beautiful, warm weather day, unless the day prior was cloudy and rainy and nasty. So, and it's the same way with our days. It's the same way with
I'm blind.
How we experience our days is sometimes you can get up and you wake up out of bed, and from your first few footsteps, you are naturally thinking of what you get to do today, and it just becomes a great day. And then other days you feel like you're fighting like the toughest opponent of your own mind, which is often the opponent, which is yourself. You're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days, but what I'm encouraging you to think about is look at the bad days as like you underneath like the metaphorical bench press for your muscles, but for your mind is you only grow when you're challenged, and comfort is a beautiful place, but nothing really grows there. When we get a client underneath the bench press, you do a few reps, awesome. It's usually those next couple reps to bring you into discomfort that really encourage the growth. So on the cloudy days of your mind, those days that are low, I would encourage you to find something positive and tell yourself, hey, this is a rough day. But once again, if you wrestle against a hard opponent, if you play sports against a hard opponent, you're going to get stronger. So looking at those hard days and trying to suck out something positive it's phenomenal, but it's hard to do. But try to notice the growth during the hard days, and if you can do that, then the low days aren't so low and the dark days aren't so dark. And then when the sun does come out, you're like, yes, this is what a good day. Let me at least appreciate it and show some gratitude for it, because it is easy in life to just have life pass on by and take for granted the air in your tires, the gas in your tank, the food, or the toilet paper in your bathroom. Try to find, sometimes you have to force and self-place the positive things in your life and say, well, let's bring that into meditation a little bit. I used to be afraid of the word meditation because I had no clue what it meant. Talk about that a little bit, and I guess and how that can vary from person to person.
Meditation. So meditation, I think I always liked the idea of it. So I wasn't just scared of it. I liked the idea of it. It was forcing myself to sit down to do it. And my biggest problem is I can't turn my brain off. I constantly am thinking. I'm a hardcore multitasker. My brain likes to function like at 200% at all times. And I'm constantly, I know we talked about this either last week or the week before, is I'm the anxiety person. I'm the person who's always looking ahead.
Mention that again, so just so that
it was I think last week or 2 weeks ago we talked about, like Sefton talked about, like two kinds of people. Depression is usually looking backwards.
Looking back and especially living and reflecting upon it. Yeah. Wishing that it was now. If you look at the past and you say, that was better then than it is now, then that's typically depression. And then looking forward in the future without a positive mind, as opposed to looking forward and saying, yes, I want that, which is what we want. Typically, looking into the future is fear, anxiety of what if, what is to come. So fear is often, it never actually comes itself. It's the imagination of something happening makes it as real as if it's happening. And the imagination of the fear is actually what changes your thinking. And meaning, if your thinking is changed, so are your actions, your habits, your interactions with self and family. So technically, the imagination of something terrible happening can create the same hormonal outputs and change your actions and actually cause that to happen itself. And it's wild. So.
Yeah. That's me. I am the anxiety person. So it was getting my brain to calm down, and I am too on top of things. So if you give me a task, I usually finish it immediately, but then that actually almost backfires on me because then my brain is craving for more things to do. So I was the kid in school that if you gave me a syllabus and I knew I had a final exam that was a 30-page paper, I had the 30-page paper written by the second week of September. So
that was the day before.
I was that person. Which is good and terrible all at the same time. So I with therapy was introduced to doing, like, actually taking meditation very seriously, just to calm my brain waves down. I do it 2 times a day for 20 minutes. If I forget to do it, I notice the difference. So it just allows me to know that I can find peace and I can find actual mental clarity in nothingness. And I know that sounds really strange, but I don't know how else to explain it. And again, it takes practice. Your brain, you can train your brain, and I think that was the best thing, like as an athlete, that my therapist talked to me about it, was like training my brain like it's an athlete. That's and like cool. It gets better the more you practice it, because it was really hard at first, because to like ask me to turn my brain off and not think about anything for a while is really hard. But now it's like times that I actually genuinely look forward to. So I do it more in the transcendental style. So there's multiple styles of meditation. But you can do anything you need to just kind of tune the world off for a second and just regroup and allow your brain just to chill out and calm down. I know a lot of my friends are runners, and that's, some people have that with running, like their running mentality, but the downfall, I think, of that is you're still physically exerting yourself. You're not letting your body kind of calm down. Not that I'm taking away the running, because, hello, that's obviously what I do. But, I mean, I know plenty of people that will do, like, you just turn everything off, put on soft music, and you just take a bath for 20 minutes, and you just sit, and you just be. And that's very difficult for a lot of people, but usually they feel much better. But again, for me, it's just, like, allowing myself to sit in silence for 20 minutes, and just let my brain settle, so then it can start working, and it can start working more efficiently. Because I'm never going to stop the fact that I'm a multitasker. I'm never going to stop the fact that I want to do 10 million things. I can't stop the way that my brain observes and wants to multi-compartmentalize things. But I can help it do it efficiently and less anxiously.
Right.
So, and that is by letting my brain have a minute to regroup and recollect itself. And so that's what I do. And that's how I start every morning, whether I sleep in too late or don't sleep in too late, because I know that no matter what, even if I'm less organized, I will be able to attack that lack of organization much more efficiently, because I allowed my brain to think, rather than have it very anxious about, like, oh my God, my whole day is going to fall apart now because I don't have everything set exactly the way it is. So
I think many just live a life of normalcy, of what they consider normalcy, with stressed out, or with the brain living in the future and in the past, but just going, and then because I've done, this is me, I'm speaking to me. It's like I live my life just thinking this is normal. It's normal for me to just constantly go to imagine what could happen, and it was always I tried to be the realist, so I'd always imagine like the worst case scenario, and then somehow saying, you know what, I can handle that in my mind. I lived in a stressful state in my body, my relationships with self. It showed, the results was showing that, but I didn't know any different. I honestly did not realize that my mind can just take a chill pill and just breathe and just slow down until just a couple years ago. And it's unfortunate to look back and say 28 years of my life, I was living and going, but I was never taught that like you said, you can train your brain just like you can train your body. Many, I think, and myself included, is we go to a state of kind of what I would call kind of like a meditation, but we do it subconsciously, and that can happen in a workout. Is when you are working out, you might not even realize it, but what you're doing is you're having a task, you're narrowing your mindscape from everything in the world to what's right in front of you, your workout, your triceps, your dips, your squats. And then if you work out hard enough, you actually focus on your breath and you focus on form, and you're actually subconsciously bringing all of your problems, and you're pushing them out, at least for the moment, and seeing and doing something positive with your life. So fitness is a phenomenal way to quiet your mind, and I just did it all the time. That's all that I knew. It's the same thing as like going out for a cigarette, or taking a bath, or just walking out in nature. You might not realize that I'm feeling good from doing these things, or there's something positive, but realizing that really what is making you feel good is that you're tuning everything else out, and you're just focusing on what is literally happening in the moment, because life happens before us constantly, and we just don't get to see, I guess, the interweavings of what's currently transpiring before your eyes until retrospectively you say, that was cool, but I didn't even get to enjoy it. So that meditation is, what I kind of just break it down to is 3 things. One is breath. And when you focus on your breath, it gives you something in the moment. It'll cool everything down. It reminds you that you're alive, which is a phenomenal thing. And if I'm reminding myself that I'm alive, then I'm like, hey, she's alive too, and so is that dude. And next thing you know, you're like, you're all human, and we all have issues, and it just really, I guess, increases your tolerance for the day of yourself and others. Meditation also, you have time if you can cool your mind down, you almost be able to read your own label, but you can't do it from inside the cereal box. You got to step outside and say, this is what I have. This is. You get to see yourself from a different angle when you cool your mind down, and you get to see your life situations. For example, like how I actually am quite rich with having a vehicle, having a house, and so many of those in this world, they have so much less, but it took me to breathe, to chill, to step outside my box of life and to say, I have so much. And it was simply just the realization of what I have increased my happiness so much. I lived life without ever knowing how much I had. So breath, meditation also, it gives you that self-image, or at least the opportunity for self-image. And lastly is for purpose. It's at least in my opinion, is one of the deep-rooted goals. If you don't have a vision or an imagined deep life purpose for your life, then I think it's what are subconsciously, you're missing something. There's like a hunger of life. There's an unsatisfying satiation that you're like, what is this? And those are the deep life questions that I encourage you all, and it happens a lot of time through meditation, to dive into those deep questions like, what am I doing? Like, how do I want, this one got me. It was a book a long time ago, and it was imagining that you're in a funeral. I mean, we might as well just do it now. Imagine you're at a funeral, and you're walking around, and there's people that you know, they're all around. You have your aunts, you have your uncles, you have people that you've met a long time ago, and then you walk over to the casket, and you're actually looking at yourself. And I was reading this, and when I read this, it took my breath away because I wasn't expecting it. But then the next words were, what are the conversations that are happening in the room about you? Who's there? Whose lives have you impacted? And what would you want to have looked back and say, what would I have done? So some of the deepest rooted life questions is if you go back and you almost consider death. I know it sounds spooky, but you don't have to get spooked about it. But if you number your days, then you know how many days you have left to impact humanity or impact someone. And it can really make a wise person out of you to realize that I don't get to stand here all for the next 100 years. I don't get to do it. So what do we do with the time that we are given?
Yeah.
Next.
No, just to go off that's really interesting because so 10 years ago when I had my first major bout with my medical condition with my stomach, I actually had a near-death experience, and I had to go through therapy in order to deal with it. And it was very scary because I could have died. I was technically almost declared dead. Came back, and one of the things that they talked about was to help you project forward and not just focus and relive that moment over and over again, is exactly what you just talked about. And it is kind of, don't get weirded out. It's not supposed to be morbid, but give you purpose was to think about what your epitaph would be, or when you think about tombstones, this is so dark. What they say on it is what will people write on your tombstone? And at the moment, because I think I was so focused on my research, and I was so focused on so many superficial things, like all of the grants I've won, all the awards I'd won, all my success in track and field. It was all very superficial things, is that at the moment it hit me really hard that I didn't know who I was. All I knew was that I was a really great resume. And that was cool. Really intense to me, because I was like, oh my God, I don't know who I personally am. I just feel like everyone will just sit around and be like, wow, Keelin was really smart. And I didn't know how I felt about that. Like, yeah, I was really smart, but did anybody think I was funny? Like, did anybody think I was nice? Anything like that. So, and it sucks that it takes so often in so many people's lives, including my own, and from what Sefton's talked about, is sometimes it takes you going through something really terrible to have these self-reflections of this. But I mean, the world's kind of making us be in a weird state right now. So hopefully it's not near-death experience for people, but it is change that hopefully it does allow you guys to kind of sit back and have that kind of reflection of what you want your projection to be in life. So, and it doesn't have to be something near death, it just needs to be an upheaval enough of your life to figure out what the direction you want it to go. So
awesome, cool, nice knowing those things about you. I didn't know these things. So we talked a little bit earlier about the being in the dark days or being in a cloudy day and having like a rough day and somehow trying to find something positive out of it. So it almost, what I'm trying to find positive out of what you were saying was like, in a way, are you in a way happy that you had this near-death experience because it awakened you to a different self-image? And would you say to the viewers or to those to the public, saying bad things that have happened to you in some sort of way you can look back and say, I'm glad that it happened because it made me to the person that I am today. And
yes.
Okay. And it's a very oxymoronic way of thinking about like a near-death experience. But it gives you the knowledge and the awareness which this virus is doing, whether we know we'll have all the information later on, but what it is doing is having everybody consider their life and considering, hey, I could die. So in those things changed the way that I looked at my life, and obviously with hers as well. Yeah. So, no, this is cool stuff.
But I think, so we went a little extreme there.
Right?
With near-death experiences. So we can bring it back to just kind of more like having a bad day. So let's put it more to like normal life situations, hopefully. That looking back and seeing it as an experience to grow and move on from. Again, I'll just put it back into like the athlete coach perspective of it is you're not going to play your best game. Even in fitness, you're not going to have your best lift. Like, you're going to have a workout and just be like, wasn't my greatest. And we're going to have days that are like not our greatest, and we can get very emotionally reactive about that. But so one of the rules that I've had in place with coaching, and some of them were it was the school's rule, and then I adopted it into like my own way of dealing with things, actually, because I liked it so much. And it's so true when you think about it in sports, is the 24-hour rule. Is after a game, or for me like a meet or a race, you have 24 hours before you as the coach can, if it like doesn't go well, or even if it goes well, discuss with the team what's going on. You can do like your normal, like your breakdown, but to have like the serious talk, you have to wait 24 hours. Parents have to wait 24 hours before approaching the coach about a performance. And athletes need to wait 24 hours before approaching a coach to discuss their own personal performance or how they felt about the game. And the point is, when things don't go well, the reason that's in place is we are usually so emotionally reactive to what is going on that if we just allow ourselves 24 hours to just calm ourselves down, you can still be upset, but your mannerism in approaching your frustration is going to be so much calmer and well thought out, because you might allow yourself to take in a bigger picture of what was going on. And I've been in that position as the athlete. I've been in that position as the coach. I've dealt with it with the parents. I have not been the parent yet, but I hope that I will make myself have that 24-hour rule when I am the parent. But it's very helpful to know that you have time to take in what's going on, and then to know myself as a coach, I can look at a bad performance. I don't even like the word bad, a not awesome performance, not your ideal performance, and figure out why that happened and how then you can move forward, and then therefore have a more progressive, more positive forward outlook, rather than immediately being like, what the F was that? Right. Like, what are you guys doing? Blah, blah, blah. Because that doesn't help anyone. And then I mostly coach girls, and they don't react very well to that kind of coaching whatsoever. You instead can do almost the compliment sandwich. So just a reference, pop culture reference there, compliment sandwich. You can say like, hey, I know you've been working really hard, or like even it's like, I know you've been focused so hard on your nutrition, you've been focused so hard on your workout program, and we had some couple bad days, but this is why it happened. So there you set your positive. I know that we've been working. The weather was terrible. This coronavirus situation is happening. Whatever it is, what can we learn from that, therefore, to put the next positive bookend on it, then to move forward? So I think making sure that we have something set in place to not emotionally react immediately to things not going ideally, and then therefore making a more positive game plan to keep moving forward, is something that's so ideal. And again, it's helped me a lot in the sports aspect of it. And also, if someone's coming at you, and I've learned this in multiple different ways, is just being like, you know what, give me some time and we can talk about this in a minute when we've regrouped. And sometimes you're protecting yourself from what you could emotionally reactive say, but you're also kind of stopping someone from being emotionally reactive towards you and allowing them to calm down. And then you can address the situation and then hopefully move positively forward. So I think that's something when we're all going through these really difficult times, is instead of emotionally reacting to every single bad thing that happens or the not ideal thing that happens, give yourself time to like think about it and process it and develop a game plan to move positively forward.
Cool. That was it.
That was really intense.
No. It was necessary, because I'm sitting here as you're talking. I'm like, dude, I think I used to do that constantly. Is I would, whether it's training or physical fitness or whatever it is, it was like I would go, and if I would talk, if I would do something that I felt important, I would immediately upon finishing, I would like walk into the next room and start to self-analyze. And once again, you can't self-analyze from the inside of the box. And I never gave myself any time to like, I guess any time of space, of peace to go look back and to analyze myself and my actions, thus always just condemning and just like hammering myself, saying you could have, you should have, focusing on the negative. No, man, it's a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, because you don't know what's going on. Like I know in like coaching, you can just sit there and be like, if someone doesn't perform very well, just be like, what was that? And instead of just chewing out your athlete because you're so upset with them. And I've been there. I've been that coach that was just like, I mean, they just know. My athletes know. It's like I just silence. They know I'm not happy, but I don't immediately go at them. Maybe one or two times I have, but it's not good, so I can find my words mostly. But sometimes you find out, like after giving them time, like they'll just be like, I'm so sorry. And then you find out something terrible is going on at home, and you're like, well, of course they're not performing properly.
Deep-rooted stuff, right?
So, and then you will realize that at that moment, my role as coach, as friend, as coworker, as trainer is not necessarily to be like, dude, you messed up, or like, why? Like it, like all up in their face. It's more just to be like, let's talk about how we can like work around that, or let's get it out, man. Talk to me. Like just you then change your role for that person and even for yourself. And then you can actually positively help someone, and the next thing you know, I'll put it back in the track terms, they show up at their next meet and they have a personal record because they were able to emotionally, you are able to emotionally set yourself right, come to terms with what's going on in your life, and know that you can still apply yourself to be successful.
Have you ever written anything? You wrote it, you want it to look good, could be a resume, could be a post, and you write it and then you read it over and you read it over and you make all these little corrections, and it's almost like you just seem that you can't get the right state, the right place, you can't get your point across, and you just self-critique. If so, then you're like many. What we have found, and what is a positive thing to do, is write something and you actually push it aside for a little bit and come back to it hours, 24 hours later, whatever, to reassess and to reevaluate. But what we're saying is doing that with writing is awesome and necessary. Doing that with yourself and your self-performance is necessary. Doing that with your children, with your spouse, with your friends, and then a lot of times with your coworkers as well, is giving reaction its time to cool down. let the kettle cool down before you touch it, so to speak.
Yeah.
This is all kinds of stuff. What do we got left? We got
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay. What can we talk about next?
Let us know if you're at home and you guys are watching, like, pop up something that you guys want us to talk about, because we could probably talk all day.
We could. Let's go. Let's see if we get something. Give me a life question.
A life question.
It could be talking about goals. You could bring up anything about superficial goals to deep-rooted goals. You could talk about meditation, about highs and lows of your day, sunny and cloudy days. You could talk about training your brain, what that means. Or talk about looking at a negative experience and somehow bringing the positive out of some of the worst things that may have happened to you. What can you go back and pull out that can push you in the right direction?
Brings it up.
Give you 10 seconds.
Okay. We need like the Jeopardy song or something.
And then I got a next talking point.
Okay. See if anybody chimes in. Spread Matt Purtle.
3, 2, 1. Okay. If it pops up, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
I read things, I listen to things, and when something's unique, I just write it down and then maybe discuss it later on. One of those things where not accepting what life has given to you. So, I believe that we live almost between the ages of 0 and 5 is we have enough experiences, situations that as a child you almost like set down parameters of life of what you can and what you can't accomplish based upon what you have been told, or based upon what you have seen with yourself, or based upon what your parents do and how they act. So a lot of these times you limit the parameters of your life by your experiences in such a short amount of time in your life, and you do this unconsciously. So what I'm trying to do myself, and what I'm encouraging my clients and just all in general to do, is what limitations have you set for yourself that may have happened early. It doesn't have to be those super early numbers, but what parameters have you set, have you guarded, and have you never actually gone back and say, is this within the realm of my possibilities? An old story was, it's like a circus has a baby elephant, and they tie the baby elephant's foot to a pole with a little string, and they did that as he was a baby elephant, and he couldn't break the string when he was small. But as he grew older and became massive, the massive elephant was still tied by the same little string to the same little pole. And not knowing his own self-power or self-possibility, he never attempted to actually break the string, because for so long in his life he wasn't able to. So we are big elephants, and what strings have we placed or have been placed upon us by self or by society have limited us, and what places of life have we not looked back and say, hey, is this actually me? Am I actually what I used to think is just unintelligent, or like I didn't have anything ever good to say? I lived like that for a long time until I surrounded myself with some good people, and they started encouraging me, saying, hey man, like, you got something. So notice the strings of life, of limitations that once were placed that now could be broken. Do you have anything? Give me a string.
A string?
And what a string of life, and then how was it placed?
I think I just always had a battle of, this is something I still deal with a lot, is that I already talked about it, like my super intense resume that I wanted, but yet I was super insecure about it, so I don't like to talk about my resume, I guess, or just successes in life, because I feel like people immediately judge you and don't want to look at you as just like still like a nice normal person who can be goofy. So I would I would just like not talk about things that I was good at. It was like I was embarrassed of being good. I was embarrassed of being successful, because like very often, and if people watching this, you guys know this about me, I will tell you that I went to grad school in Connecticut. And I leave it at that, because for some reason, as soon as I tell people I went to Yale, they instantly put me into a category, and I become someone who's difficult to talk to. I must be judging you because I think you're stupid.
Obviously that's your own insecurities. Right?
Yeah, and it makes me so uncomfortable. I feel like people will instantly like not like me, and it's just very hard. So I don't talk about it, or I don't know. It's just like a weird way of actually having something that is really positive for
Right.
being successful, or like I always feel like I need to explain it. Like I always have to be like, no, like I worked hard, I earned that scholarship, I did this, you don't understand, I didn't
Right.
have things handed to me or anything like that. Like I just always feel like as soon as I say it, I instantly have to explain it instead of just being like, hey, guess what I did? I did a good job. And like I'm so terrified of people not liking me because of it.
Right.
That's all.
And no. I'm sure we can all look back and find a handful of these things. The real, I guess, reality of it is we do get judged, but a lot of times we get judged from the person. They're doing it unconsciously, and a lot of times the judgment happens not because they're looking and labeling you, but they label themselves, or they see a potential possibility in. Somebody might see a possibility or a trait in me that they wish that they had. So therefore, if they don't have it, it's not that I'm bad. It's that they can become insecure in their own selves and say, hey, and because I've done that for years. It's almost like if I would judge people unconsciously, not knowingly, but I would say, he's successful, but he's probably not good. He's probably not a good person, or he's. And I don't know why I used to do this, but is the more that I judged others, the more that I end up judging myself to that same standard. And it's a slippery slope, and it's a negative one, and it's hard to have a sunny day when you're looking at others. So, turning that mirror upon yourself and your own possibilities, it's really where your focus must be, seeing what's right in front of you, as opposed to, I read this as well, it was sometimes our physical eyesight is not a benefit, because seeing what is right now can really contain and prevent of seeing what may be or will come, or what is to be. If you see your current situation and you look at it physically and saying like, this is what I have, it's challenging unless you close your eyes and use the sight of your mind and say, hey, I can get myself out of the situation, or get myself into better riches, better peace, better romance, whatever it may be. But physical eyesight is deceptive. What we see on TV is deceptive. Society is deceptive because it's easy for society to be like, hey, Photoshop and anabolic steroids, and this is what you should be. And it's challenging. Most of that is all fake and unsustainable, but those are the standards that I try to set my life to, was what I saw all around me. I was one of myself's harshest critic. So let's talk about the strings of life. I guess early on, somewhere in life, I placed a string upon my ankle and said I will only be able to get this far. My first two goals, I remember I was in 6th grade or 5th grade, I remember looking in the mirror, and all I wanted out of life was to be skinny and to have pretty teeth. That was it. And I thought that if I was able to be skinny, because I was a chubby little kid, I loved my Oreos, and if I had pretty teeth, that I would be happy. And it gave me a perspective back when, man, I didn't have a whole lot of big life goals for myself. And as long as you have a small life goal, if you have a small vision for yourself, you think small, you're gonna aim small. And if you can have that vision that scares you, or you can have that vision, shoot for the stars, and if you miss, you'll land on the moon, sort of thing. But if you have a big vision, it's going to really encourage and be that energy source to say, what if, or I could keep going. So the imagination of your own possibilities of yourself is extremely important, because you have to be able to see it, and before you actually believe it. See it up here, not with these physical eyes, see it with your mental eyes, and see something positive, and then start working toward it. And it's hard work. Life is hard work.
Yeah.
It ain't easy, lemon squeeze.
Yeah. And just to almost like not counter it, but again, I talked about I'm the forward thinker. That was never my issue. It's just really funny because you probably enjoyed your life a lot more, because I was the person in 6th grade, I wanted to be a doctor and I wanted to go to the Olympics. And so I'm a doctor and I qualified, but I was almost so obsessed with my goals that I took the human component out of everything. So you have to find the balance And that's what I didn't have. I was almost like on the opposite
No,
side
that's
of it.
exactly what I'm saying.
But it's finding the opposite, like, to still be very driven. I don't want to change anything about it. Like, I am so proud of myself and that kind of stuff. And I like the people, I love being surrounded by driven people. Like, they make me more driven for my own goals. But just remember that you're still human. Still remember to like surround yourself by the people that keep you grounded. And that make you appreciate the little things in life. Because again, I'm the forward thinker, I'm the super anxious person, that it's very easy for me to not remember what's going on right now in my own social landscape. So, yeah.
Very nice. Let's recap because we got to go.
Yeah.
The subject was goals, life, fitness, and the means to accomplish them. Basically, find the actual goal. The goal is... Just consider, are your goals superficial, or are there something bigger that is turning the wheels of the superficial goals? A lot of those are just life, asking for help. I'm going to ask for help for my taxes, and if something's going wrong with my car, something's going wrong financially, I ask for help for those. Ask for help, and it's not a bad thing, and don't feel bad for doing it. You get to decide whether you want to have a good day or a bad day by the first few steps and by the first few thoughts of your mind. Consider what your thoughts are out of bed. Make them positive, and the likelihood of your rest of your day being more positive is likely. Meditation. It's quieting your mind. It's cooling your mind so you can see yourself outside the box. You can see your goals. You can see your potential, and you can see the situation from a different angle, which is necessary. You meditate by breath, by considering self-image, and then by considering life purpose and say, where do I fit in the realm of this world? Life, you have ebbs and flows, you have happy days, you have sunny days, you have cloudy days. The cloudy days create value for the sunny days. Your bad days create value for the good days. Notice the bad days and be sure to notice the good days, because you ebb and you flow, and make most out of both of them. Turn the brain off. The brain wants to go, go, go. Living in the future often breeds anxiety, especially if you're living of what if could happen. Living in the past and wishing that it was that, and believing that it was better than today that is depression. So get out of future fear and get out of past pleasure and say, hey, right in this moment, this is where life happens. Training your brain as an athlete, so you train your brain as you train your mind. It's not easy. It's through repetitions. You have to lift heavier weight and harder to grow bigger and to grow stronger. Looking at the negative life experiences and finding the positive out of them. So something like this virus that's going around, something like a near-death experience, can actually give you the self-awareness of my life and my time is limited. What am I going to do with it? Mm-hmm. Awesome topics. The 24 hours to discuss to yourself, your team, your children, your spouse. After something has happened, whether it's a success, a failure, or a win, or if there's a conflict, you got to give yourself a little bit of time to cool and to chill, and it'll be a lot easier on all and every. The strings of life. So what things have happened when you were a young one that have tied your mind down to a little pole, limiting your parameters and your capabilities? So what things that have happened to you as a child have you never gone back and reassessed and saying, actually, I can become more, I am intelligent, I am smart, I can speak, I can make money, I can be successful. There's so many different things that I never believed for myself that was just wrong. And lastly was, Keelin was so obsessed with her goals, and I didn't have any. So...
And here we are,
oddly enough. So if we could both recommend something, was you do get to set your own goals. Parents set phenomenal goals for your children, because if you don't have a goal for your child, he gets to wander around being like, what's life? Forever. And then having extreme goals and not allowing and setting, the importance of, to your child, hey, you can be awesome and you can be anything, but at the same time, you got to be able to enjoy your 3-year-old, 5-year-old self. So not having any goals and being completely obsessed and unhappy with yourself until you obtain them, you got to find a middle ground. Find the goals, give yourself patience, and looking for progression every day, little by little. Okay, I got 20 seconds to my next one. You ready?
We're good.
Cool beans.
Bye.
Get it.